Now it's time to take a deep dive.
On this deep dive, Chris, we're going to talk about the comic book boom of the 1990s.
The gold rush, in fact.
Yeah, the 1990s was a transformative decade for comic books, marked by a massive boom, fueled largely by speculators who bought multiple copies of issues hoping they would rise in value. The surge in demand led publishers to produce flashy, collectible editions featuring special covers, holographics, and numerous variant versions. And during this time, the industry saw a major shift in distribution. Traditional newsstand editions, sold in supermarkets and convenience stores, began to give way to direct editions, which were distributed exclusively through comic book specialty shops. Direct editions often included different cover markings and sometimes extra content aimed at dedicated fans, while newsstand editions were intended for casual readers. As specialty shops grew, direct editions became dominant, shaping the modern comic book market, but also playing a role in the speculator-driven crash that hit later in the decade. So basically, a newsstand copy looks like the one I'm holding here for our YouTube viewers, where it has a UPC barcode in the bottom left corner, and a direct copy, although it's the same comic, has a image in the bottom left corner there. It's not a barcode, it's a picture of Spider-Man's face, in fact. So newsstand goes to news agencies and to just big shops, whereas a direct market copy will go to specialty comic shops.
Yep.
Yeah.
So beyond the speculator craze, the 1990s were a period of innovation and expansion led by the major publishers Marvel and DC Comics. Both capitalised on the era with blockbuster titles and events. Marvel's X-Men series gained even greater popularity thanks to the animated TV show, which we just spoke about, while Spider-Man continued its success with the controversial yet gripping Clone Saga. In 1991, Marvel introduced Deadpool, a quirky and irreverent anti-hero created by writer Fabian Nicieza and artist Rob Liefeld, who quickly became a fan favourite. At DC, landmark story arcs like Batman, Nightfall, where Batman faces the villain Bane and suffers a dramatic defeat, and the Death of Superman storyline in 1992, which attracted international media attention, helped cement the publisher's dominance.
Everyone remembers Bane breaking Batman's back over his knee. That's a cool image. Artistically, the 1990s were defined by detailed, dynamic, and often exaggerated visuals epitomised by artists such as Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, and Mark Silvestri. The bad boy aesthetic influenced not only art styles but also the tone of many comics, which leaned toward darker, edgier, and more complex narratives. Anti-heroes rose in popularity, and writers like Grant Morrison and Neil Gaiman brought fresh approaches to storytelling. Morrison's surreal and metafictional runs on titles like Doom Patrol and Animal Men challenged traditional narratives, while Gaiman's The Sandman elevated comics into the realm of literacy acclaim, blending mythology, horror, and fantasy in a critically celebrated series.
So despite these creative heights, the mid-1990s speculator bubble burst. Overproduction and market saturation caused sales to collapse. Many publishers folded and the industry contracted significantly. So the crash forced the comic book market to focus more on story quality and sustainable business practices. Nonetheless, the 1990s left a lasting legacy. The direct market system was firmly established, comic storytelling expanded in scope and complexity, and creator-owned properties gained new respect and prominence. That
also saw the rise of some of the independent publishers, most notably Image Comics. We spoke about that with Spawn earlier. It was founded in 1992 by the top Marvel artists at the time, who were seeking creative control and ownership of their own characters. And Image exploded onto the scene with gritty, dynamic titles like, as we said, Spawn, Youngblood, Savage Dragon, Wildcats was another one. They inspired lots of other creators to pursue some of their own stuff like that. But in summary, overall, the 1990s comic boom was a decade of spectacular growth, innovative storytelling, and dramatic change, like big change, right?
Produced iconic story arcs and characters that endure today, and laid the groundwork for the modern comic book industry, balancing artistic creativity and evolving business realities, I guess.
It was a big one in the 90s. And also, you had all the cartoons that followed through. You had then the trading card boom, which came along with that. And you had all these spin-offs and all this stuff that just led into the superhero genre, which now is huge, right? Superheroes are massive across
industry,
every single media. And there's some good ones, there's some bad ones. Let's talk about some good ones, and we'll go to a top 10. Let's go to the best of the best.
Let's try to that.